things like the burst rifle's audio isn't synced up with the gunshots and it feels it's super slow. I wish we had Siphon, especially with the lack of meds in the game right now. If we had Siphon, it would be so incredibly exciting. Boogie bombs are interesting. There's a lot of pros out there who obviously aren't enjoying getting Boogie Bomb one pumped because there is basically no counter once you get Boogie Bomb, but it's OG season. I don't mind this craziness being in the game. As long as they fix some of the things that are very clearly bugs and issues with the loot pool that aren't meant to be there, I'm totally fine with some of these crazy, goofy items. There's no FNCS, there's no major tournament, there's a bunch of cash cups. Let's have some fun, blow off some steam, and then we can go back to hardcore competitive in Chapter 6. So far, I am loving watching Battle Royale tournaments. I do have to talk about the aim assist buff, and I'm saying that in quotation marks. I got really excited for this. I included in my video on the new season. We had on the blog post them telling us they were going to buff aim assist. Now, after talking to a lot of controller players, casuals, and pro players, the buff doesn't seem that strong or there at all. Apparently, if you didn't tell controller players there was a buff, most of them wouldn't have guessed. Some people are actually saying it's making their aim even worse. Now, there is a bug on controller right now where sometimes if you pull out your builds, even if you don't actually place the build and you go to edit, you still have your build sensitivity while you're trying to edit. And if you don't do this, that's totally fine. But a lot of pro players will bring out their build edits before they place their builds and hold them out and then edit. That is causing their sensitivity to go like 10 times through the roof, and it's making everything feel really weird. So if you're having that issue, that is a separate bug that is hopefully going to get fixed. But if you're just not hitting any shots, unfortunately the aim assist buff wasn't really that strong. And Fortnite did say in the blog post they're making it somewhat stronger. They didn't say they're making it twice as strong. We're going back to OG aim assist. So maybe a lot of us just got a little bit excited, hoping it was going to be some kind of a substantial buff. I thought it was going to be, because right now controller is just too weak. Again, you can argue with that as much as you want. If you're a mouse and keyboard player and you're angry hearing that, all you have to do is look at the numbers of professional players right now who are placing at the top level on controller compared to mouse and keyboard, especially compared to what it used to be. And there's a bit of an issue. Obviously, there's other issues going into that as well with surge trading and how much easier it is to get surge on mouse and keyboard. But for the most part, when over half the player base is on controller, I did want it to be a little bit stronger. I didn't want to go back to Unknown Army quad dinking and SMG 200-0ing people in half a second. I just wanted it to be a little bit stronger, but sadly,
I'm always shopping The RealReal. They drop over 10,000 new arrivals every day.
Gucci, Rolex,
Prada,
Louis Vuitton,
Hermes, Cartier, Tiffany.
Up to 90% off retail. Endless luxury. The RealReal. Shop now and get 20% off at therealreal.com. Terms apply.
feels basically the same apparently. Now let's move on to talking about the big team swaps. We have Peterbot now dropping Cold and Booga to play alongside Poyo again. We have Peterbot and Poyo reuniting. I did say there was potential for Peterbot to replace Poyo alongside Rapid and Bolt. I thought it was going to potentially happen. They tweeted about it. They made a joke. And I said, well, I know this is a joke. There is definitely something going on with this trio. I didn't know who was getting dropped, but I knew someone was. And now we have confirmation. It's Peter, Poyo, and Bolt. It was Rapid who ended up getting dropped. Now, this has created a little bit of drama because Rapid has come out and said that Bolt actually did want to drop Poyo for Peterbot. He was willing to do that to make that trio. Turns out Rapid or someone for some reason didn't want to do that, and now Rapid has ended up getting dropped. So we now have an extremely terrifying trio of Peter, Poyo, Bolt. Now a lot of people saying, how can Poyo trust Peterbot? How is he now playing with him after everything he did to him? You're gonna win with Peterbot. Poyo knows this. Business is business. Poyo has never had a big ego. Everyone's obviously realized that after playing with Peterbot. He's happy to sit in the back, do whatever Peter needs to win to support him, and then go on to, you know, reap the benefits of that. And that's what he's gonna continue doing alongside Peterbot and Bolts now, which I'm pretty sure is gonna kind of answer the question of how this trio is gonna work. The whole reason why Peterbot split up with Poyo in the first place was because he wanted a Tarper alongside Cold. Poyo obviously could have done that, but for whatever reason, Peterbot didn't think he could or wanted someone else. It looks like Poyo will probably be stepping back into that Tarper role, doing a lot of the building in endgame, so Peterbot and Bolts can focus on just destroying everyone in that lobby. Now, it could change. Peterbot's probably going to do most of the IGLing and decision-making for that trio, but if he wants to do the building in endgame, all three of those players are phenomenally good. They could honestly do every single role. They're going to be working alongside their coach, Razaru, again as well, so if any of them needs guidance or how to learn how to play endgame a little bit better, they're going to have it. That trio is extremely scary. They're pretty much going to claim whatever POI they want on the map next chapter, and I'm guessing they will get it. If people were scared of fighting Peterbot and Poyo, they're definitely going to be scared of fighting Peter, Poyo, and Bolts. Now, I'm hoping this has given Peter a bit more, you know, respect for Poyo. Again, they did so well together and then ended up splitting up with him, then played with another trio, didn't do as well, ended up getting beaten by Poyo on another team, and now Poyo's giving him another chance. I don't think Peterbot's going to waste that. I believe this trio is locked in now. I'm way more confident this trio makes it to FNCS than what I was either of the previous trios. Now, this leaves some other big names looking for a team. So what does this mean? So we now have Cold and Booga and Rapid all looking for trios. It looks like Booga's found his trio. It is going to be Booga, Aviv, and Ree, which I'm really excited to see how that trio goes. Again, we'll have to see in the first trio Cash Cup in a couple of days. I was going to wait to make this video after the trio Cash Cup to see who actually queues up with each other and how well they do, but a lot of you guys keep asking my opinion. I didn't want to wait any longer. I can make another video after the trio Cash Cup recapping it. So we have Booga, Aviv, and Ree. Now, as far as Cold, we've ended up with, at this point, Cold, Aegis, and Ritual. Now, a lot of these trios, again, I'm not 100% sure whether they're going to last, whether I think they're going to work really well. A lot of them are trying out playing together for the first time, or it's their first real look. So start looking at other trios around that are kind of established right now, like the Rise, Muzz, Clicks trios, and potentially we could see some players shifting out of those teams if they don't do well. I feel like this next trio Cash Cup is going to be so important. If any of these teams don't do well, 100% we are going to see a massive snake eating. There are now some absolutely phenomenal players like Rapid looking for teams who haven't really found their home yet. Yeah, we're seeing some tweets go around, but most of it is just it happening in Discords and friend groups, and then we'll start to get some proper trio announcements after the first few tournaments. Again, there is no FNCS this season, so I fully expect a lot of these teams to change up again as well, but for now, it looks like we have a few new trios on the block. Now, EU is not without this as well. We saw another big shift on EU, one of the best trios on EU, just like we saw with Poyo's team. We have Vico, Chap, and Flixie splitting up. Chap has been dropped for Veno. Now, Veno almost made his way onto Peterbot's team a few weeks ago, if you remember that. Almost got Booga dropped. Well, got Booga dropped, and then ended up getting dropped himself for Booga again. We've now had Veno make his way onto what I think is one of, if not the best trios on EU. Vico, Chap, and Flixie have been dominating every trio cup so far. I have no idea how Veno is so good at getting these guys to drop people for him, but he's made his way onto that trio. I don't know if this means that trio is still going to be working under Razaru, again, the coach I was just talking about. Mostly Veno's worked under BloodX. I'm sure he's happy to work under Razaru. His accomplishments right now are insane, but that trio is looking very scary. I thought Vico, Chap, and Flixie would be one of the only trios to make it to FNCS on EU alongside Mustache's trio, but they have fallen, and we now have another big powerhouse trio on EU as well.
So we've had a lot of patients, been going on vacations, holidays, things like
OG season has literally just came out, and we already potentially have the biggest snake season that Fortnite has ever seen. We have so many new teams to talk about, including Peterbot's new team, Queasy and Vino's new team, Miro's new team, Booga's potential new trio as well. We have to go over so many different things in today's video. Real quick before we get into it though, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are less than 500 subs away from 78,000. So if you want to help me reach that goal, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Use code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop if you guys are going to be buying the new season's battle pass. Without further ado though, let's get straight into today's video. I want to go over all of the new trios and also tell you guys what I think their ceiling and floor is for FNCS. Let's start up with the main one, and the one that I also went over a little bit in yesterday's video, so I don't want to like overly cover it, but obviously it is confirmed now 100% that Peterbot is playing with Bolts and Poyo now for FNCS. So this does mean that he has officially dropped Cold and Booga, and Peterbot even on his own stream now just confirmed that he is going back to IGLing, and he is going to be the IGL while Poyo plays support, and then Bolts is going to be the main fragger now. This trio obviously instantly becomes the FNCS favorites. I think by far, even out of like every other NA trio I'm going to be going over, they are still just by far like the best one so far. Obviously, we haven't seen a single tournament be played from any of these teams yet. Tournaments do start on Wednesday though, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I think the floor of this trio is probably just like splitting. If things are not going as well as Peterbot wants them to go, we could see potentially potentially Pollo getting dropped for Cold. That is like the only real like split I really think is going to happen though. But if they do stick, I think they can 100% win FNCS, and I think they most likely, if I were to make a bet right now on who I'm going to predict for FNCS, I think my bet would go to Peterbot, Bullets, and Pollo. All right, next up, let's talk about one that actually is a little bit surprising. We did see Queasy and Vino officially split, and I'm not gonna lie, Vino got an absolutely insanely overpowered trio. He is now playing with Flixie and Vico. Obviously, Flixie and Vico are considered some of the best players on EU, and Vino was really struggling in his trio with Queasy and Pixie. And I've been saying this literally since like the first tournament that Queasy, Vino, and Pixie were playing together, is I really did think they were going to split up. And literally on the first day of OG Fortnite, Vino has gotten himself on probably the best team in all of EU. A lot of people are saying it is a little bit crazy that Chap is getting dropped from this, because Chap is like one of the like younger up and coming like best keyboard and mouse players, and he's only going to get better. I'm not 100% sure who is going to be the IGL of this trio. I mean, Vino's name is literally X at IGL, so if I had to make a guess, I would assume that Vino is going to be the IGL. But Flixie also does have experience IGLing. This is a very scary fighting team. This could potentially be the best fighting team in the world, even better than Peterbot, Bolts, and Pollo. I think this does instantly become the FNCS favorites going forwards for EU. The only other team that I would really like put on their same level is obviously like Swizzy, Mustache, and Vania, and then maybe you could say like Ping Walks and Malibuca as well. But I think those are just like the three undeniable like top 3 teams on EU right now. If you're wondering who Queasy is playing with, we also have like official drop spots for all these teams as well. I should have like put them on the screen. Queasy has officially announced his brand new trio as well, and he is going to be landing Slurpy Swamp in OG Fortnite with Chicho and Teeny. Now this is probably one of the more surprising new trios out of all of this, because I just really didn't expect Queasy to want to play with a controller player. You guys all know though, Teeny probably is like the most keyboard-like controller player, if that makes sense. He does make some dumb controller plays, but at the same time, he's an absolutely insane fighter, and he has gotten back-to-back second places in grand finals, so he has already proved that he can perform at the highest stage. And then Chicho is just one of the most underrated players literally all the time. He always pops off at LAN, gets like top 5s at LAN, top 5 in grand finals. I think if this team is able to build up chemistry together, they can be an absolutely insane team. I would honestly have them like a top 3 ceiling, and then the floor would probably be like a top 10, honestly. I don't really see a trio with these 3 caliber of players placing anywhere outside of the top 10 though. Next up, let's talk about Cold's new trio again. And now that I've had like a day to really like sit here and process his trio of Ritual and Agers landing at Sweaty Sands for all of OG Fortnite, I have to say I do really like this trio going forwards. I think there is a potential that they could split and Cold could maybe go back to like Acorn or something, but you have 3 very good fighters. Ritual, who is the IGL and one of the best fighting IGLs in the world. I think the ceiling for this trio is definitely like a top 3 in FNCS. I just don't really see like the win out of FNCS from this trio. But then again, I mean, I just really have to see how most of these teams play after a first tournament actually happens. I can't wait to make like an updated Peterbot's Peak video with all of the top 10 trios in the world. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that, because that series is about to go crazy this season with all of these snake innings that have been happening. It still is just so crazy that Cold got dropped. He literally found a new trio in like 20 minutes though. But if something goes wrong for this trio and they end up like splitting up again, Cold is by far going to be the hottest asset on the trio market. I feel like Cold is just one of those players that could really play with anybody and make success out of it, but we're just gonna have to really wait and see what ends up happening with this trio. After like some more time like thinking about it though, I really do like them going forwards. All right, next up, let's talk about one that is a little bit confusing, but it is the trio of Clicks, Muzz, and Rise. I know a lot of you guys thought that like Muzz is going back to OCE and he's going to be playing like OCE tournaments, and he is also going to be playing OCE tournaments with Vortex, Muzz, and Oatly, I'm pretty sure, but I think he is going to be in NA for like 1 to 2 weeks, so he will still be able to play the first like 3 or 4 trio cash cups with Clicks and Rise. I still have literally no clue what they're going to do after Muzz leaves for OCE. I think Clicks and Rise will stick together, but I think it also just really depends on how the tournaments go. Like if Clicks, Muzz, and Rise are just absolutely dudding in OG Fortnite tournaments, then I could see them end up splitting up, and then I think Rise would have a very good potential to find a good new trio, but I just don't really know who Clicks would end up playing with. We might be able to see Clicks play with like Booga finally, but that is obviously only if this trio ends up doing bad. I think this trio has like a top 5 in FNCS grand final ceiling right now. I don't really see any like win potential out of this trio, and I think their floor is probably splitting up. The last 2 tournaments for them that they have played together hasn't necessarily gone the best. They finished like 38th one week and then like 15th the other week, so they haven't been like this insane powerhouse trio that just is never going to split up because they know they can place good. I'm just a little bit concerned what's going to happen with Clicks and Muzz's trio situation if they do decide to split up. All right, the next trio that we are going to be going over is Kanata, Miro, and Acorn. Now this is another trio that I didn't like super expect to pan out, just because of the fact that Acorn and Miro have notoriously like not liked playing with streamers recently, especially Acorn. But Miro has shown that he is grinding Fortnite again, and he is trying to get back into his prime for trios now. Acorn and Kanata, obviously both IGLs, but they are both insane players in their own perspective. I think Acorn is going to be the person that ends up IGLing, and then Kanata will play like a support IGL, and then Miro will probably play frag. But these are all comp veterans. They are three super smart players. This is probably like the smartest trio, like combined with like every single player on this team. I think this is another like top 5 ceiling trio, and then the floor I think once again is and then Miro, Corn. But Miro has shown what's going to happen with Clix and Muzz's trio situation if they do decide to split up. All right, the next trio that we are going to be going over is Kanata, Miro, and Acorn. Now this is another trio that I didn't like super expect to pan out, just because of the fact that Acorn and Miro have notoriously like not liked playing with streamers recently, especially Acorn. But Miro has shown that he is grinding Fortnite again, and he is trying to get back into his prime for trios now. Acorn and Kanata, obviously both IGLs, but they are both insane players in their own perspective. I think Acorn is going to be the person that ends up IGLing, and then Kanata will play like a support IGL, and then Miro will probably play frag. But these are all comp veterans. They are three super smart players. This is probably like the smartest trio, like combined with like every single player on this team. I think this is another like top 5 ceiling trio, and then the floor I think once again is them splitting up. It is just a little bit of like 3 random names just all teaming up together, and I don't know how much like real firepower is here. Like if they were to get into a fight with like Bolt, Pollo, and Peterbot 10 times, do they even win that a single time? I'm not 100% sure. If this trio is able to make it into endgame though, I think they will be able to play super consistent in endgame. Getting refreshes might be a little difficult, but this team is definitely going to have some of the best strategies going into FNCS. They are landing steamy stacks as well, so they are going back to where Kanata used to land in OG Fortnite, I'm pretty sure. Overall though, I am really excited for this trio in the future, and I just cannot wait until trio tournaments finally start on Wednesday. All right, let's get into another trio that a lot of people probably didn't expect, and that is actually Epic Whale landing at Pleasant Park with Sphinx and Dukes. Now, I'm not going to say that this trio just like completely came out of nowhere, but it is just very surprising to me that these 3 players are the ones that ended up deciding to team up. Obviously, we saw Reed try to play with Epic Whale and things like that again, and it clearly just didn't really go the best. And so now him playing with Sphinx and Dukes, I would assume that Sphinx is going to be the IGL of this trio, and then Epic Whale is going to be able to play like a support slash fragging role, and then Dukes is obviously going to be the full-time like main fragger on this team. I think the ceiling of this team is maybe like a top 7. I'm not 100% sure how much I love this team once again. I think it is a very fun team to maybe look out for, but out of like every single team that has gotten announced so far, I'm not 100% sure if this is one of them that I am like most excited for. Now let's talk about some people that are still looking for a trio and some potential trio options we could see end up forming. Obviously the main one is going to be Booga. Booga did tweet that he is looking for trio now. We don't know who exactly he is going to be picking up, but some potential options for him and some very likely options I would have to say is either it's going to be Booga, Aviv, and Reet, or Booga, Threats, and Reet, or just any combination of those 3 players. I think we'll end up playing with Booga. Obviously Booga already has chemistry with Threats and Aviv, so if he's just going off of people that he already has like the most chemistry with, that would make sense. But Reet still is one of the best fraggers available on the market right now, and he still somehow just has no trio. So I honestly am just very curious to see where these 3 players are going to end up going at this point. We also have to talk about Chap, since he did get dropped and he literally just has not said anything on social media yet about who he is going to be playing with now. Obviously this is one of the like best players up and coming right now, and he was literally just finished winning a trio cash cup with Vico and Flixie, and he's just completely dropped now. I just don't really know who he is going to be playing with yet. Other than that though, that is pretty much all for today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video, remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are less than 500 subs away from 78,000, and we are also trying to hit 80k as soon as possible. Use code KDog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube says don't enjoy one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter at KDogs to keep up to date with everything to do with Fortnite competitive. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
We just had the craziest trio cash cup yet. We had Peterbot not even making it to finals. Does this mean he's gonna split up with Booger and Cold? We had Mr. Savage making his first finals, but he did it without Marius and Mongrel. Does this mean the end of Savage and Mongrel? And we also had Clix's team, Rise and Muzz, go on to almost win the finals without him. And does this mean he's been dropped? There's a lot of team swaps. There's a lot to talk about. And I also want to talk about what's going on with the OG season. When are you actually going to be able to jump in and play? And what is happening with the massive new update to Reload and us having rotating maps in Fortnite for the first time ever. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. We had a very big trio cash cup. We have to kick off with opens. Sometimes I don't really even talk that much about opens, but we had some big performances and some big underperformances. So we'll kick off with the biggest one, Peterbot, Booger, and Cold not even making finals this week on NA. Now, it was very, very close. They didn't play absolutely terrible, but they didn't make the finals. Now, usually I have some kind of answer. Oh, they died to cheaters. There was a bunch of drama, this and that. I actually don't know. Like I said, they got really close. They dropped over 170 kills and still didn't make finals, which is a little bit weird for the format, but you got to play the format. Everyone's playing the same format. You can't blame it on that. And they didn't. Peterbot, Booger, Cold didn't say anything. None of them was streaming. None of them tweeted anything. They all stayed really quiet. I thought for sure we were going to get some kind of a tweet saying this format's terrible or man, cheaters, something. They didn't. They just handled it with grace, I guess, and just didn't qualify. So unless somehow before this video now goes live, everything goes crazy and Peterbot drops Booger again and everything goes nuts, it looks like they just didn't qualify on to the next one. We have another trio cash cup on NA in a few days time because the last one glitched, so we're replaying this one. But yeah, they didn't qualify. I don't really know